Today I'm going to talk you through the key differences in the New Balance Rebel V5 and the ASICS Novablast 5. So two really popular neutral based running shoes. However, there's some key differences whether you want to use them as a lifestyle shoe or for running. So if we look at the Rebel V5 first, we've got an EVA PIBA blended midsole with 35 mils in the rear foot, 29 in the forefoot, giving you a 6 mil difference from the back to the front of the shoe. So that EVA PIBA blend is typically around 80% EVA and 20% PIBA. So you have a little bit of that super foam in there that makes it really responsive and really turns over very quickly. While in the Novablast 5 we've got the classic FF Blast Max cushioning, which is different than what we saw in the Novablast 4. So this cushioning feels different underfoot. It's a little bit bouncier, a little bit more pop to it. It doesn't feel like that kind of performance feel that we saw in the Novablast 4. It's 41.5 in the rear foot, 33.5 in the forefoot, giving you an 8 mil drop. So 2 mils more of a drop compared to the Rebel V5. And it's a little bit heavier of a shoe as well, coming in around 255 grams versus 225 grams in the Rebel in a size 9 men's US. So slightly different foam, not as responsive as what we get in the Rebel, and it's also a little bit heavier. The fit on top is different as well, and I'll touch on that in a moment. But first of all, I just want to talk about the stability features within the shoes. So we've got large sidewalls on the inside of the Novablast 5 and on the outside as well. We've got some sole flare where the sole comes out wider than where your foot sits in the shoe to add extra elements of stability. In the Rebel V5 we've got some sidewalls on the inside more towards the midfoot than the heel, on the inside and outside, but they're not as large as what we see in the Novablast. And we've got a little bit of sole flare, but again not as prominent as what we see in the Novablast. It's got a broader midfoot, so it doesn't narrow as much as what we see in the Novablast 5. That adds extra elements of stability to the shoe, but we'd still classify it as a classic neutral shoe. The same in the Novablast 5, whereas the Novablast 4, because the cushioning wasn't as bouncy, wasn't as soft, we classified it as a stable neutral, if you want to check out the review on that. Otherwise, when we move on top of the shoe, we've got a single engineered mesh on the Rebel V5 that's slightly thinner and more breathable than we have in the Novablast 5. The Novablast 5 tapers more towards the toe box than we see in the Rebel V5, so it's just a little bit more snug in there, but it is available in the wide version now. It's a true to size and length, as is the Rebel V5. Now the fit on top of the Rebel V5 changed compared to the Rebel V4, so we still have plenty of space in the toe box, probably one of the more wider racing shoes on the market, but it's narrowed a little bit in the midfoot and in the heel to give you a better lockdown with a slightly thicker tongue than we saw in the previous model. So we've got an excellent lockdown now in the midfoot and more space in the toe box for your toes to splay and move around if that's something that you find enjoyable or more comfortable. Then when we think about the padding on the back of the heel, we have a bit more padding in the Novablast 5 than we have in the Rebel, and the Rebel is a bit more flexible in the heel counter compared to the Novablast 5. So that's worth keeping in mind if you're someone who has sensitivity at the back of your heel. When it comes to day-to-day use, they can both be used as a lifestyle shoe, although I'd say the Novablast 5 is a bit more towards lifestyle than the Rebel V5, which is more purely towards running and racing. When it comes to running, the Novablast 5 is your all-rounder. It's got incredible durability on the outsole. It can be used for easy runs, longer runs, faster workouts, more marathon pace workouts, so it's a bit of a do-it-all shoe. In contrast to that, with the Rebel V5, it's super light and it's also got a really quick turnover. So it's more built towards faster workouts, so your fast 5 to 10 Ks, your fast half marathon distance, not necessarily race pace distance, but up-tempo, faster stride workouts. All of those are covered in the Rebel V5. So it's a bit more of a specific running shoe, whereas the Novablast 5 is a bit more of a do-it-all. The Novablast 4 was a bit more performance-based and more similar to what we see in the Rebel V5. I hope that answers your questions, but you can drop them in the comment section below if you have any more. We've also got links to the shoes in the description if you want to check out the latest prices on Amazon. Otherwise, like and share and subscribing makes a massive difference to us, and thank you very much for watching.